What's going on, you guys? It's Brantzen. Today we're playing 5-5-10 at the Gardens, so wish me luck and hit that intro. Cheers.
With the guy Brantzen, who has the Brantzen poker logs.
Let's go! Let's go!
Tell him he's got a lot of class, and it's all low.
Like I said, I'm playing 5-5-10 today. I'm in for $800, and get ready for a crazy day. I pick up 7-8 of hearts in the small blind. The Lojack limps, the hijack raises to $40, and here we go. Starting off with a bang, I opt for aggression and 3-bet to $160. The best result would just to get folds here, but that's not what happens. The hijack calls, and we're heads up to a flop of King Queen 7 with 2 diamonds. Well, I have bottom pair, but more importantly, this board should hit our range as the 3-better, having all the kings, queens. I could have king, queen. So I start out with a bet of $125, and he folds. Easy poker.
Easy poker.
Next, I have 10-8 of hearts in the cutoff. The hijack picks up 2 chips to limp, then kind of goes, and reaches back and raises to $25. It looks super weak to me, or I guess super strong if he's going for an Oscar, but I decide to put him to the test with a 3-bet. My normal 3-bet sizing in position is 3 times the open, so I make it $75. In retrospect, over such a small raise, I think I like $80 or $85 instead. It's not too big of a difference, but I think a slightly larger sizing will make a difference in fold equity. Anyways, it folds back to the hijack. He looks annoyed, but makes the call, and we're heads up to a flop of King 10-3 with 2 diamonds. Again, the board's pretty decent for my 3-betting range, so when the hijack checks, I bet $60. He makes the call, and the turn is another 3. He checks. This 3 is good for my specific hand. If he has a better 10 like Jack 10 or Queen 10, we're now chopping. I choose to check back for pot control. I don't think he's folding a king here if I bet. Anyway, we're off to a river, which comes a jack. Not a card I wanted to see, as Jack Queen now hits a better pair than me. I'm no longer chopping with Jack 10, and a couple straights come in. My opponent bets $90. I think it would be wildly optimistic to think my opponent is bluffing here, like turning Queen 10 or an underpair into a bluff. I just fold, and he shows Jack 10 off. So my read was pretty right. He had a pretty marginal hand. We were chopping on the turn, but the river pushed him ahead. Moving on, I pick up King 10 of clubs in the Lojack. I open to $35 and get called by the hijack and cutoff. 3 ways to a flop of 9-6-3 with 2 clubs, and I start out with a bet of $65. Surprisingly, both of my opponents call, and the turn is a jack. This is a good turn. It doesn't complete any draw my opponent might have, and it gives me a straight draw to go along with my flush draw. In addition, it changes the top pair dynamic and will make it more difficult for my opponents to hold on with a 9. I bet $220, putting a lot of pressure on draws or a 9. My opponents both fold, and I take it down. Alright, next I pick up 4-8 off in a bomb pot. Everyone puts $25 in the middle, and we go straight to a flop of 3-5-6 with 2 clubs. I have an open-ended straight draw, and holding a 4 makes it a little less likely one of my opponents has the nuts with 4-7. I'm first to act. I bet $75. Best case scenario, I take it down uncontested, but an early position player calls, and the Lojack calls were 3 ways to another 3 on the turn. So, mixed feelings about this card. Obviously, it doesn't complete my straight, but this card shouldn't be that great for my opponents. Oftentimes in a bomb pot, my opponents would have raised me with 2 pair or better, so when they call, they most likely have a draw, top pair, maybe an overpair. Meanwhile, for me, I could be betting the flop with a lot of 2 pairs and sets, so this card could definitely give me a boat. In addition, if I flopped the straight, I would also keep betting, so I put out a bet of $220. My first opponent folds rather quickly, but the Lojack thinks for a good 40 seconds before making the call. My read was that he either had a flush draw or an overpair. So before the river even came out, I had mentally decided I was going to make a small $200 bet on the river. If I hit my straight, he'd most likely just have to call with an overpair because he's getting such a good price, and fold any of his flush draws. If it was a brick, my 8 high definitely wouldn't be good, so the $200 would just be to fold out his flush draws and just accept the loss if he had an overpair. I'm not saying it's the best plan, but it's what I was thinking. And then the river comes a 4. Really weird, as now I hit a pair, so I am beating his missed flush draws, but I still have the plan in my head. I bet $200. Now I guess it's a block bet, so I don't get bluffed off the river. I don't know. He makes the call. He shows 6-8 off. Didn't expect him to have a 6. He was actually really nice. He apologized later, which I didn't think he needed to apologize or anything, but he said he only called the turn because he was on super tilt. Anyway, I'm not in love with how I played the hand, especially the river, but I gotta show you guys everything, right? Aww. Okay, so I pick up King 10 of diamonds, and in this one, the under the gun +1 limps, the button limps, the small blind and big blind limp, and I'm not limping. I make it $80, and only the under the gun +1 calls. Flop comes King 4-5 rainbow. I flop top pair on a board that should favor me, but I decide to check. I think mixing in some checks with top pair helps keep my checking range more balanced, and my opponent bets $120. Definitely not folding my king just yet. I call, and the turn is another king. Okay, that makes me feel good. It's less likely my opponent has me beat with a better king. I check it over, and he checks back. Pretty sure when he checks back, I have the best hand now. So when the river is a deuce, I bet $200. My opponent thinks, then makes the call. I show, and I'm good. All right, get ready for the most interesting hand of the night. I pick up pocket 9s in the small blind. Action folds all the way to the button, who opens to $25. Definitely a standard 3-betting spot. I raise to $100, but then the big blind cold calls my 3-bet. Everyone else folds, and we're heads up to a flop of 8-3-5 rainbow. I have an overpair, but when the big blind calls my 3-bet, I think he'll often have pocket 9s through pocket jacks, as well as ace king and ace queen. Still, I need some more information. I make a bet of $125, and he calls. The turn is a queen, and now I have a decision to make. I have a strong feeling my opponent has 10s or jacks right now, so I could give up and let him win, or I could try something a little crazy. See, I could very easily have king queen, ace queen, pocket queens, pocket kings, pocket aces that all want to bet for value, so I decide to turn my hand into a bluff and bet $300. Well, he thinks for about 45 seconds and then makes the call, and now I'm almost positive he has 10s or jacks. The river is a 4, it brings in a straight, but otherwise doesn't change much. Well, I've gotten this far, time to continue telling the story. I go all in for $645, repping ace queen, pocket queens through aces, and this sends my opponent into the tank. He is agonizing. 30 seconds goes by, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Internally, I'm dying. I'm thinking, please fold, please fold. And eventually, he makes the call. Oh no. I show my cards, and he shows 7-8 of hearts. Holy cow. I turned my hand into a bluff, and somehow I was still good in a massive, massive pot. I played for about an hour and a half after that, no super significant hands. I did take down a bomb pot after flopping a set of 5s, but eventually the table broke and I decided to call it quits.
Wow, that was insane. Absolutely insane session. I was in for 1,500 and out for 22.56 for a profit of $756. Definitely crazy hand with the pocket 9s, turning my hands into a bluff, then getting called, and then still winning. That was nuts. So also, just in general, it's mid-January now, because now that I'm playing more often, I don't get to play, or I don't get to post every video, but things have been going really well in January. So I've played 10 sessions so far in January, and I've booked a win in 8 of them. So yeah, tonight's a good night, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.